that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back. In fact, this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan, and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor. Oh!
Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, friends? You know who it is. Omar, the sports professor, the professor, street professor, the professors. Semanalmente. For you marks, that just means weekly. You know that. This is my weekly news, headlines, entertainment, world news, U.S. news, sports. We gonna do it all, baby. And I am so glad that you have joined me. I sounded a little bit like Dusty Rhodes there with my baby. A little like Dusty Rhodes there for a second. Shout out to Cody Rhodes. If you are a wrestling fan, WWE had Elimination Chamber this past weekend. We'll definitely touch on one of the crazy moments in professional wrestling history. But we've got so much more to cover on. We've been gone for a couple weeks. Yes, last week I tried to do something new, something crazy. So maybe you might have seen me a little wild-haired early in the morning. Just doing my thing, showing you a day in the life. I was told that it was cool, but maybe not the thing that I should be doing. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do it again, maybe not. But you live and you learn, you know what I mean? Sup, Daniel Berry? Shout out, brother. We appreciate you tuning in. Y'all tap in with Daniel Berry Sports Highlights and everyone at the Let's Talk Sports Network. They have been good partners with us for a long time here. And make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds. Yes, there's a handy QR code up at the top. Please, you can scan that, find our YouTube, find our Instagram, our Twitter, all the good stuff. TikTok, speaking of Clubber D's TikTok, we will have Combat Sports Special this Thursday for UFC 313 coming this weekend. So we will have Clubber D, the Combat G, our UFC Combat Sports MMA Insider this Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So make sure y'all tune in for that. And as well, please hit that like button if you're watching. It's free and it helps us out in the algorithm to boost us to more people and get them to watch. So, I really and truly appreciate that on the real. And as well, Bottom Line Sports, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern as well. Make sure that you join the Bottom Line Sports on Facebook. And as well, tomorrow I will be going a little live from Country Box. Shout out Country Box here in Nashville in Opryland. If you're around, want to check them out live, it's great. Jimmy Adams is the promoter there. They have a lot of good boxing matches. The Warrior Kid, Hermes, Orta, my G will be on there. So going to be a really great show. So anyways, you'll see me going live from there. But anyways, thank you again for tuning in, everybody. Always appreciate it. Again, my name is Omar the Professor Fonseca, and I am here to give you your weekly knowledge. Here to drop a little knowledge for you on the week. First of all, let's know that it is a really big week this week. So many days going on. Mardi Gras is tomorrow. That's followed by Ash Wednesday. If you're a Christian or a Catholic, you probably go get the ashes. I am, so that's something that I participate in. South by Southwest starts on Friday. They get down with the music over there. And then finally Sunday, daylight savings time begins. Yes, we get the longer days back, so definitely thankful for that after this winter malaise that we go through. When you get a little bit of the you get a little, I don't, but some people get a little down during the winters and things like that. It gets colder, stuff like that. So completely understandable. It is a more down looking type of season. But speaking of Christians and Catholic, Pope Francis was put on ventilation at one point during the weekend and has finally come off of it as of this morning. So he is off the mechanical ventilation and is stable, and actually had a written statement come out probably obviously helped by people there at the Vatican, but prayers up to him. Hopefully he gets back to complete health. Moving on, let's go ahead and get started on our sports. First of all, gotta give a shout out. Wow, this lady has done so much for the game of basketball. And when you think about what she's given to the game of basketball in her career, Diana Taurasi, y'all, Diana Taurasi, shout out to one of the GOATs of women basketball. And you can see this here in this little accolades. I'm going to take myself away for a second because she deserves the shine as one of the GOATs of women basketball. So let me put myself in a little small box in the corner so you can see this a little bigger. But look at that. Look at this, y'all. So good. So good. Look at all these accolades. Rookie of the Year, MVP, All-Star, All-NBA 14 times. She played 22 seasons. She was a 3 times final MVP, 3-time champion in college, and an 6-time Olympic gold medalist. Obviously, 8 times would be impossible for pretty much anyone, as that would have to span 32 years of Olympics, and most people don't stay in their athletic prime for that long. But Diana Taurasi had an impressive 6 Olympic gold medals. To shout out her for what was fantastic and brilliantly decorated career, right? So I think we can all agree on that. We'll give her a little golf clap. My sound card with the clapping, I gotta get that figured out, but we will, and we'll keep it moving. 4 nations face off. So we didn't get to talk last week, but last week we did. And I'll get into the. Oh, you know what? No. First of all, let me do those rankings first. Let's get into the rankings since we're already here. And I already got it up on the screen there, as you can see on the right-hand side. That is our women's college basketball rankings. Top 16 revealed this past weekend, y'all. If you have not been paying attention to women's college basketball the past few years, it is, it's always been good to me, but it's been even better. Obviously, you had Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese last year, and all the rest of them. And now this year, Juju Watkins, Lauren Betts, a lot of really, Hannah Hidalgo, a lot of really great players, Paige Beckers. The list goes on. And so it's going to be a tremendous playoff coming up here for women's basketball and the March Madness. It's going to be just, I'm really looking forward to that. And since we're honoring Taurasi, I figure we as well bring up the women's college basketball rankings so you can see that right there. You can see my number 1 UCLA Bruins. Yes, they probably will not be the number 1 overall seed because they were beat by the FUSC Trojans beat us twice. So they will probably take one of the overall number 1 seeds. We'll probably just have probably the 3rd or 4th number 1 seed, to be completely honest. But anyways, really good teams there. The new number 1 overall, Texas, Madison Booker and the Texas Lady Longhorns, 29 wins, 2 losses, ranked number 1 in the country. I just about them, the FUSC Trojan Condoms at number 2 with 27 wins, 2 losses. Yes, I'm a hater. Yes, they beat my team twice this season. Yes, I'm upset. That's all right. We will get them back in the Big Ten tournament. UConn at number 3, the aforementioned Paige Beckers. They got a freshman there, Sarah Strong. Awesome. And Aziz Fudd, a lot of other good players. So really good team there. Gino Auriemma just keeps running it back and back no matter how many players he has to use or how much older people think he's getting. 28 wins, 3 losses, the UConn Lady Huskies. At number 4, my UCLA Lady Bruins, 28 wins, 2 losses. Yes, FUSC beat us twice, especially this weekend, took us out. Wasn't a good look. Still at number 4 and still above the number 5. South Carolina Lady Gamecocks, 27 wins, 3 losses. And then, at number 6, too, Notre Dame, the Lady Fighting Irish, who I mentioned earlier, Notre Dame is going to be there at number 6 in the women's college basketball rankings. Hannah Hidalgo is doing an amazing job there as the number 1 player. So y'all look out for women's basketball in the NCAA. And it's going to be crazy. We also got men's coming up as well. So let me give you those quick rankings. At number 1, Auburn, still holding the top spot down, 27 wins, 2 losses for Auburn. Duke, 26 wins, 3 losses. They got Cooper Flagg. He is the presumptuous number 1 pick for the NBA draft. Number 3, the Houston Cougars, 25-4. Y'all, they're tough this year. They're tough every year, but they've won a lot of tough games as of late. And the only issue with them is Kelvin Sampson has not been able to get them over the hump when it comes to March Madness and the actual Final Four, things like that. For his sake, hopefully it is this year, as they have a really strong team led by veteran leaders, players that have been there the whole 4 years, or at least 3, really gaining trust and experience with each other. At number 4, the Tennessee Volunteers. Shout out Volunteers here in Knoxville. 24 wins, 5 losses. And then the Florida Gators, 25 wins, 4 losses. They are the number 5 team in the men's college basketball rankings, as we are now 2 weeks away. Yes, indeedy. You got to feed the needy, baby. Woo! Oh, where's my Rick? Where's my Rick, baby? Where are you, Rick? You know, I got to come find y'all. Know I got to give you a little Rick every time. And by the way, shout out to the Nature Boy. I know we're going to talk a little wrestling later, but Nature Boy had his birthday this past weekend, so shout out last week to the Nature Boy. Shout out. And as well, now that we talk about the Nature Boy, I got to shout out my brother, Francis Long. I am shouting you out, my brother. I love you. Thank you for my new mic. He bought me well, I guess I shouldn't shout him out since they're not sponsoring this show, but I'll shout him out anyways. Maybe they'll give me a sponsorship, because now I'm using the Blue Yeti microphone. Shout out to my brother. I love you. Thank you for getting that for me. It was a surprise. It was amazing. You are one of my best friends, and I love you, and I hope you are I just talked to you the other day, so I know you're doing well. But anyways, you know, when we talk about Rick, I got to think about you. So thanks again, my brother, for this amazing sounding microphone, y'all. Shout out. All right. Anyways, let's move it on into our NHL and NBA rankings. So what happened when we were gone? The NHL finished up their 4 Nations tournament. You'll know that we had talked about this before a couple weeks ago when we were going into the finals. USA versus Canada, all the bad blood that's been involved of the USA-Canada rivalry in the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, and other things like that. So definitely some animosity going into this game. The Canadians were even booing the national anthem at some point in time. Wow. You know, I obviously don't ascribe to that as a veteran. I cannot get down with that at all. I do understand if they have feelings of some sort of way towards the country with all the stuff that is going on are down our way, but you don't have to boo the anthem. I think that's hey, well, all right, anyways, I'm just saying, I back up Pat McAfee on that. Shout out, Pat, my brother. Going to hang out soon, but I back you up on that. No doubt about that, especially as a veteran. I can't get down with that. Shout out all my military and veteran brethren out there. Love y'all. All right, let's move into our NHL power ranking. Before we do that, as I mentioned, the 4 Nations finals, Canada. Apparently, I can't speak at the night. Canada beat the U.S. 3-2 in overtime. It was an amazing game. Connor McDavid, colloquially known as, colloquially. That is such a beautiful word for a Puerto Rican on live TV. I love it. But anyways, colloquially named as Mick Jesus is the nickname they gave him. I don't ascribe to that either, but hey, he doesn't either. But they gave it to him because he's such a great player, and he did score the overtime goal to get the Canadian win 3-2 over the United States in the Four Nations Finals. Moving into the rankings, the Winnipeg Jets at number 1, 42 wins, 14 losses, 3 draws. At number 2, shout out the DMV, Washington Capitals, 38 wins, 12 losses, and 8 draws. What's great about this? The great one, Wayne Gretzky, my favorite hockey player of all time, the best hockey player of all time, will always be the best hockey player of all time because he was better than just goals. He was goals, assists, everything, defense, passing, everything. But there is someone coming along that will pass one of his records and deserves the accolades that he is getting, and that is one and none other than Alex Ovechkin. Alex Ovechkin has made the DMV very happy since the 2003 draft when he was drafted. Look at the longevity of that career, which is why he's able to pass this record, which he will pass eventually. He is 12 goals behind Wayne Gretzky with about 20 games left. So, well, actually, let me do some quick math for you. That is 58, and there's 82 games in the season, so 24 games left. So he has a very good chance. All he needs is a goal every other 2 games, and he's been on that pace already this year, even having missed 5 weeks with a broken leg. Just an amazing player. And if it was going to be anybody that passed Wayne Gretzky, I'm down with it being Alex Ovechkin. So shout out to Ovi. At number 3 in the NHL Power Rankings, Dallas Stars, 37 wins, 19 losses, 2 ties. Toronto Maple Leafs at number 4, 36 wins, 20 losses, and 2 draws. And the Vegas Golden Knights at number 5, 34 wins, 18 losses, 6 draws. And as an aside, the defending champion Florida Panthers are sitting at number 6, so they did not fall out of the hunt yet. No. They are at number 6, and they have a 35 win, 21 loss, 3 draw record. Moving into our NBA power rankings, first of all, I got to give a shout out to my brother, JT, Jay Tizzle, Jason Tatum. Where is it? You see the Celtics banner in the background. Champions, reigning, undisputed. Whatever. Paul Heyman's too good. That's why he's the wise man and gets paid the money he does. But anyways, we are the reigning and undisputed champions. And one of the reasons why is Jason Tatum. Happy birthday to him today. Already a 6-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA player, one of the faces of the league, and one of the best players in the league, no matter what Flo's hating behind like to be saying. Moving on into our rankings, Oklahoma City Thunder in the number 1 rank, 46 wins, 10 losses. They are just wow. Now that they got Chet Holmgren back, they got that big post game of him and Hartenstein, especially just the length, the defense. Oh, this team is going to be tough. The youthfulness. They got SGA, obviously. But, don't count out my Celtics now. Don't count out the Celtics. 41 wins, 16 losses. They are in the number 2 spot. I do want to point out to you, because if you've watched me on this program, if you've watched me on the Bottom Line Sports, if you've watched me on any of my other partner networks that I've partnered with, you know that I highly subscribe to the fact that in the NBA, if you have a top 10 offensive and defensive efficiency rating, that you are a top-notch, contender for the championship. Well, right now, our top 3 teams in the rankings do just that. The Oklahoma City are number 1 in defense in the league, number 5 in offense in the league. The Celtics, my Celtics, number 5 in defense in the league, number 3 in offense in the league. And at number 3 in the rankings, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they are number 1 in offense, slightly below, as I just broke my desk with my heavy arm. I'm just joking. I didn't break it. The desk fell. I can get in a second. But slightly below 7th in defensive rankings. But all three of these teams are top 10, and the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Boston Celtics are top 5, y'all. Top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency. So, got to give a shout out to both of those teams. It looks like they might be on track to meet each other in the finals, but don't count out the Denver Nuggets, who are still there in the hunt. Jokic having the best season of his career, which is hard to say because he's been an MVP the past few seasons. Best season of his career thus far for Jokic. And he's in a battle with SGA for the MVP right now. They are in a tight battle, 1 and 2 for that. Now, who else is out, though? Wembanyama, yes. Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama, no. The young future face of the league for the San Antonio Spurs is out with vein nerve thrombosis. Now you say, Omar, what is vein nerve thrombosis? And I say to you, well, I am not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn one time. Anyways, no, it is. I do know this though, because I actually know someone who has this. And I hope they're doing really, really well. Prayers up to them. Love you. But it is slowing of the blood flow, and if it gets bad enough, can become a blood clot. So it's when your blood is not flowing through your veins properly enough. So that's what he has right now. Now, it can turn into a clot if not treated. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, he's going to get, believe me, the NBA is not going to let one of their future best players ever be injured to something like this. They will give him top of the line star treatment and give him whatever he needs. He was front runner for defensive player of the year. As a second year player, a 21-year-old, he was averaging 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 blocks, most in the league. The NBA is already facing a viewership decline, 5% year over year. And you've got everybody getting older. LeBron, I know he just had 40. Steph, I know he just had 50 and had a dunk last night. Said it's the last time he ever going to dunk again. I know you got Kevin Durant, but these are people are aging out. They're getting older, and we need to have the younger, fresher faces, the Wembanyamas, the Jason Tatums, the Anthony Edwards come in and start dominating, becoming the face of the league. Wembanyama was 4th in All-Star voting with 2.9 million as well. And he was 5th in jersey sales this season. So a huge loss for the NBA. Prayers up to Wemby. Hopefully he gets back as soon as possible. Moving on, NBA has suspended Milwaukee Bucks forward Bobby Portis 25 games for violating the anti-drug policy. Moving on to football. Top NFL draft prospect, another horrendous injury here. Abdul Carter from Penn State. Abdul Carter was projected to be the number 1 pick, calling him the next Micah Parsons. Although he astutely said in interviews that he was like, nah, I'm the next myself. Get that right. And that's what he should have said. But he has now had a right foot injury and may need to undergo surgery. And if that is the case, it's not good for his draft stock, as he could possibly fall in the draft rankings if he was not able to progress properly from that injury. What else in the NFL? Well, starting in the 2025 season, y'all, the NFL plans to use Hawkeye technology. You say, Omar, what is Hawkeye technology? And as the professor, I'm always here to learn, y'all. I'm always here to teach you things. So that's what I continue to do, and we keep it rocking and moving on. Hawkeye technology virtually determines whether a team has gained a first down spot. So if you remember the controversial call in the AFC Championship, Bills, Chiefs, Josh Allen trying to go for a first down, stopped, possibly short. Video shows that it probably wasn't as short as they thought, or short at all, but the ref spotted him short. A lot of people may have said, Kansas City conspiracy, trying to help Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce win the championship. Allegedly. Allegedly. Anyways, so they decided that they will continue to have the traditional chain gang to make sure that it takes care of the markers on the field, but that they will use this to help them actually make sure they have the correct spot. And why the hell not? If we have this technology, why are you not using it? This is not the 1950s anymore. We don't need to be playing football before there was a TV around. And no, stop it. You have the technology, use it. We're going to talk about another technology here in a second when we talk about baseball. But if you have the technology, use it. So what are some other things they're going to look into changing? They're also going to use technology to help them with replay assistance, helping them to check all penalties for roughing the passer and other ones to make sure that they're actually getting them right. Unnecessary roughness, the face mask, things like this that can be used. Technology can be used to make sure the correct call is made. What else is the NFL exploring? Another change to overtime rules. Now they are trying to say that they may give, currently, let me tell you what it currently is first. Currently, the first team to possess the ball in overtime can win if it scores a touchdown, but not if it scores a field goal. If it scores a field goal, the other team still gets a chance. But now they want to switch the overtime rules to give both teams a chance to score no matter what. So even if the team scored a touchdown, it would not be an automatic win anymore. Now the other team would have a chance to score. I've been saying this forever. A lot of people, I don't know why this seems pretty simple to me. It seems like a pretty straightforward decision. Excuse me. Straightforward decision to make. Like, yes, of course they should. I don't want to go through a whole great game, get to overtime, and just because one team scored a touchdown, maybe there's a fluke play, maybe somebody missed a block, maybe a long pass that they just, whatever. I want to give the other team a rightful chance as well. That's great. And they might also lengthen it from 10 to 15. I never knew why they ever took it back from 15 to 10 in the first place. They should have just always left it there. But whatever, it is what it is. They may be going back to 15. We just talked about Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is going to be implementing an automated ball strike challenge system in spring training. If you didn't know, if you're not a baseball fan per se, spring training has started and it is glorious. I've been watching all of the Mets games and a lot of other games since I have the whole package. But MLB is experimenting with what they colloquially call, there it is again, the word of the day, colloquially. For y'all, that just means another word for, or sounding fancy for, right? So they call this robot umpires or robot umps. It's not actually robot umps. It's just the technology that they use, sort of like a Hawkeye technology that we just talked about with the NFL. But this is to track if a ball from the pitcher is a ball or a strike. And so it's very simple. The computer system, the program has the box, the strike zone. It adjusts for all the hitters because the strike zone, if you don't know in baseball, goes from the hitter's chest to their knees. But that also varies depending on how tall or short someone is. So this is able to also adjust to that, which a human umpire may not be able to do. Now, you know me, I'm a purist in all these things. I do not want umpires to be taken out of the game. I want that human element to stay in, but I do like this challenge system where they give them a chance. You can have 2 challenges a game. If you keep getting them right, you can keep keeping them and using them. I like that. At least let them challenge so at crucial times, right? And you got to be strategic. When are you going to use it? Tell your players not to use it early in case you need it later, right? Things like that. So, or if it's not really close, don't even challenge it because you don't want to lose. Great strategy has to go into that. So I love it, right? But I still need the human element of the umpires. I still need the umpires to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I still need the umpire. I still need the human element. I still need them to be able to make mistakes from time to time. If we're just going to something that's going to automatically tell us every time, boom, 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 and we're just going through this all game. No. Use it for every once in a while. Use it for challenges. Use it for what it's worth. But other than that, let the umpires do our thing. We still love having the umpires back there. We like the crazy strikeout calls and all that stuff. What else in baseball? Baseball and ESPN have mutually agreed to opt out of their TV contract after the season. What? Yes. MLB says they are not getting paid enough anymore by ESPN, and that ESPN is not playing enough of their games or content except for live games. So this has been crazy. MLB, Major League Baseball, and ESPN have been partners since 1990. So this is crazy. We'll see what happens. MLB does have its own network. They also use a lot of regional broadcasts. If you did not know, they are probably the sport that uses regional broadcasting the most. So they'll find other outlets to get the games out, but not having this partnership is huge because a lot of people get their baseball from ESPN, a lot of non-baseball fans. So we'll see what happens there. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred has also decided to review Pete Rose's eligibility for the Hall of Fame posthumously. So you will remember on this show, not this show. It was the Mind of the Professor, which I haven't done in a while. I got to give y'all another Mind of the Professor soon enough. But Pete Rose, we talked about his candidacy for the Hall of Fame. Should he be inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame? Should he not? In my Mind of the Professor, I said that since he did break the rules by gambling as a manager, that he should not have been inducted in. But I did also say on the same program at the end of my argument that since he had now passed away and he is no longer with us, that should be reversed and they should let him in. He was still, after all, baseball's hit king. So you know what? I think Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner in sports. I don't feel bad about saying that. He truly is the worst commissioner in sports. I know a lot of people like to hate on Robert Goodell, but I'll give that to Manfred. Goodell's not much better. And yeah, Adam Silver, you're starting to look like a shell of yourself. Everybody liked you at first, but now you're starting to bow to all the corporate greed and all the corporate, pressures. I see you. Anyways, but salute Rob Manfred. I give you a big ups on that. What else is happening around the sports world before we move you into the entertainment portion of this program? MLS, yes, Major League Soccer is back. Lionel Messi, he is playing down in Miami with Inter Miami, and they have a very good shot to win the championship this year. Let's just say that. So the season is now underway, just getting underway last week. So if you're a soccer fan, you've probably already been watching it. In other soccer news, this was a crazy story, y'all. I don't know if you heard about this story, but it was crazy. So check this out. This happened back at the 2023 Women's World Cup Soccer Finals. You may remember if you watched the Women's World Cup Finals, which maybe a lot of you did because the U.S. Had a team which was at least hoping to win some games, as they always do because they're really, really good. But they did not win it this time around. But what did happen, former Spanish Socceration Federation. I just made up a new word. That was pretty good, actually. Socceration. Yeah, it would be like, it'd be like a soccer nation. Socceration. Got it. Soccer Federation president. Hey, when you can make fun of yourself, that's the best way to do it, right? Luis Rubiales was found guilty of sexual assault, y'all. Why? Do y'all remember this? He kissed Jenny Hermoso. She was a player on the Spanish team that won and he did this in the open, in front of the whole world. Millions watching on TV. They're having the ceremony, handing out medals, and he had the unmitigated gall. He had the stupid gall, but the unmitigated gall to kiss this lady, Jenny Hermoso, on her lips in front of the whole world at a ceremony celebrating their World Cup win. First of all, not okay for you to do that at any time. Let's just get that out of the way right now. She ain't asked for it. You need to back off, Predator. That being said, why on earth ever would that thought cross your mind in front of millions of people around the world watching on television? You deserve everything you get. You deserve, and he did. He was found guilty. They have ordered him to pay $10,434 and to stay away from the young lady. It was a crazy. I couldn't believe when I saw this on TV, y'all. I was like, "There's no way." I just saw what I just saw, and then you watch it on social media, and you're like, "Yeah, that really happened. He really did that." Wow. Anyways, so he is now. Some people are going to say maybe that's not enough because maybe he needed more. But if you do look back as to the actual time when it happened, he did resign, and he had a 3-year FIFA ban, the international ban for Federation of International Football. So it's just a crazy story. And there's a study in 2024 that was done that found out that 10.9%, so 11% of United States athletes have experienced some sort of unwanted sexual conduct while playing their sport. Like, that's crazy. 1 out of 10 athletes at some point in their sporting career, whether young, high school, middle school, whatever, experience some sort of sexual assault. That's unacceptable. I mean, it's unacceptable at all for anyone. But holy crap, that's a high-ass number. Over 11%? 1 out of every 10? Oh my God, what is wrong with people? You people are so sick. All you can just get whatever comes to you. I wish I had my gunshot joint. That's what I give y'all. Anyways, moving on. We don't want to talk about him or give him any more press, but we do pray for her and hope that she is recovering from that incident. Endeavor, oh yes, thank you. Shout out. Thank you for tuning in, my brother. Canteen from the Bottom Line Sports. Y'all make sure you check us out Wednesday night, 8 p.m. We will go live. The Bottom Line Sports, me, Canteen, Hot Take Jake, and probably have either Clubber D or another guest come on that day. Maybe we're going to whenever, because Flo is going to be out. He's got a lot of stuff going on, so we're going to start rotating some other guests in when he's out. But make sure y'all tap in with the Bottom Line Sports. And also Thursday, as I mentioned, Combat Sports special for UFC 313. Clubber D, the Combat G, and yours truly for Combat Sports special. Tune in Thursday at 8 p.m. So that's Wednesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. at Ball and Buds. Please make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. If you're there right now, please do as the kids say, type in BALLANDBUDS and smash that subscribe button. We appreciate it. Also, hit me with that like right now, please. Hit me with a like, a laugh, a heart. Give me one of them love, laugh, life, home decor photos. I really appreciate it. Every like is free, and you will help us out in the algorithm as well. There's a QR code up top. Very handy for you to scan to get to our YouTube and other social media platforms. I think, again, I am Omar, the Professor from Seca. Let's keep this program moving on. Endeavor, company that oversees TKO Holdings, that oversees World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, and the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC. Endeavor's financial results for 2024 came out. Revenue was up 30% to $7.1 billion, but net income did swing a gain to a loss of $1.2 billion, drawn down by weaker events. Also, two major other deals, Endeavor went private and shifted their sports assets to TKO. So that also caused the dip in the financial results. But I bring that up to tell you about TKO. TKO is the parent of WWE and UFC. So something you'll hear about on this program and other sports networks here on the YouTube, the interwebs and other things like that. They had boosted their annual revenue 67% to $2.8 billion, but they lost a lot due to heavy expenses from the legal settlement that UFC had to settle with the fighters due to the antitrust lawsuit where they felt they weren't getting paid enough. That was a $375 million legal settlement. So they actually ended up with the net gain of only 6.4. So we'll see what happens there. But I also bring that up because one thing that's not doing bad, one thing that's doing super, super hot right now, something that's doing super, super, super hot, yes, shout out my brother, is the WWE. World Wrestling Entertainment is off the chain. First, they started the year out with a new Netflix deal, Monday Night Raw, which you can catch tonight on Netflix. I'm not going to tell you when it starts because I'm about to run into it and I don't want y'all to leave here. I want you to continue watching. Yeah, boy. But anyways, they started a deal with Netflix on Monday nights to go there. They're also on Fox, still doing SmackDown, still got Peacock having their whole library. But then last night at Elimination Chamber in Toronto in the 6, what happened? What happened? The world is asking, what happened? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. You can't see me. John Cena. Even if you don't like wrestling, you know who John Cena is because he's a famous actor as well, known all over the world. If you know who John Cena is, you'll also know he used to be a former, or he still is a wrestler, a professional wrestler for WWF, but a former 16-time champion in WWF. He went off to Hollywood as a lot of the actors do, like The Rock did, like Hulk Hogan did, and many others have done. We'll get back to Hulk Hogan in just one moment. But last night, this generation, right? What is it called? Generation Y and Generation Z, things like that. That generation, this is their Hulk Hogan heel turn. This was epically done. They're in Toronto. They're at the Elimination Chamber. John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber, outlasting 6 other competitors. Cody Rhodes' music hits. Cody Rhodes comes out, congratulating each other. Everything's good. Then, all of a sudden, Travis Scott's new song plays, and Travis Scott comes out, waving around the sage, making sure, all the bad spirits and bad juju are gone away. And then what happens? Goosebumps. If you smell The Rock was in the building coming to capture Cody Rhodes' soul. You said, what did you say, Omar? Did I hear you correct? Did you say soul? Yes. I am talking like Robert Johnson, 1920 guitarist, who apparently sold his soul to the devil to become a great guitar player. He sucked before, and then all after this story, apparently he came back to be the best player. Crazy, right? Cody Rhodes, The Rock asked him to sell him his soul for everything. He would have everything in the world he wanted. Planes, cars, all the money he wanted, all the championships, everything. So what happens? What happens? Rock goes down to the ring, struts down. He says, Cody, I want your soul. What are you going to do? Cody says, Rock, my soul is taken. And everybody's like, he's saying what we think he says. And then he says, because it's already been given to the fans. So F you, Rock. And the crowd pops. Oh, he said that to him. Oh, what's going to happen? All of a sudden, John Cena's just, yeah, Cody, that's great. That's great. Blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden, he goes up to dap up Cody. John Cena and Cody give a good dap right there. And then all of a sudden, as they got the bro hug going on, you see John Cena's face just drop from a smile to just a straight face. He was like this and just went. And then you see The Rock, and The Rock's in the corner, and he gives him the I can't say what that is because I don't want to get canceled from YouTube because you probably would for some shit like that. But anyways, he gives him the take him out symbol. And all of a sudden, the crowd finally realizes what's happening. Because the best part about this is, y'all, when you're watching on TV, you can see all this unfold. So you're still surprised, but you're seeing all of it in real time. At the arena, you have to remember, the people that are down by the ring, they can only see the limited amount that they can see with their eyes because they can't see the Jumbotron up top. but the people at the top in the nosebleeds and in the second level, they can all see the Jumbotron. So when they see the face change on the Jumbotron that a lot of people couldn't see down low because it was just too close and you weren't able to actually see it because you had to be at the right angle, whatever, but it did show on the TV, you could hear the whole upper part of the arena go, oh, and the lower part, you could see their faces. They were like, what's going on with it? And all of a sudden, John Cena rails back, boom, kick to the man parts. Cody goes down holding his gonads, and wowzers, biggest heel turn since 1998 Bash at the Beach when Hulk Hogan, that was 98, no, 97 Bash at the Beach, when Hulk Hogan, NWO, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, dropped the leg on WCW and everything that it stood for and changed the wrestling game. This is this generation's Bash at the Beach Hogan moment. Now, there is no NWO that is going to follow, but the story that follows with The Rock, John Cena, and Cody Rhodes going forward is sure to be a chef's kiss. So shout out to them for that. They've been having some great, real great programming going on. So if you are a fan, or if you used to be a fan and you're not anymore, you kind of fell away, now is a good time to get back into not only professional wrestling, but UFC as well. Mixed martial arts is on the come up. So, and make sure you're subscribed so you can catch our Combat Sports Special this Thursday, 8 p.m. And make sure you're also subscribed for Bottom Line Sports Wednesday at 8 p.m. And I will be live at Country Box tomorrow night. Shout out Jimmy Adams, promoter at Country Box. Hermes Orta, the Warrior Kid, will be fighting tomorrow night. So shout out to them. You'll see me there live tomorrow. Moving on, make sure, please hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. You're really helping us out there by allowing us to get to more people. So please, it's free. Hit that like button for me. All right, bars. All right, moving on into entertainment. First of all, very, very sad what has happened over the past week with a couple people that we have lost. And so first, I want to give a rest in power to Michelle Trachtenberg. And you may be asking who Michelle Trachtenberg is. And if you're not around my age, you may not know who she is. My age or younger, I guess. She was in some programs. I'll tell you where I know her from, but other places you might really know her from. Depending on your age group, I'm going to go in order. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which would have been the oldest on that. Gossip Girl, and then Harriet the Spy. So if you've seen any of those programs, you'd remember her from that. What I remember and love Michelle Trachtenberg from, I remember and love her from Eurotrip. Eurotrip is one of my favorite movies of all time. And all you road trip stands out there, I've got no time for this. We're not going to sit here and debate the merits of which movie is funnier between Road Trip and Eurotrip. It is hands down Eurotrip, 7 days a week and twice on Sundays, and in very big part due to Michelle Trachtenberg and her acting skills and the way that she did an awesome job in that movie. Hilarious. Eurotrip over Road Trip all damn day. Rest in power, Michelle Trachtenberg. Also, rest in power to multi-Oscar winning actor Gene Hackman. Now, this is a crazy story, y'all. Gene Hackman, 95 years old. His wife, classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, 64 years old, found dead with one of their dogs also dead in the home. What makes this so much weirder, y'all, is they had been there for a while because they are the coroner, the police, all the people that are there, the emergency personnel. They're saying that they were mummified. That's how long they had been deceased in the house without being found. So one of the house maintenance workers, there's apparently two of them. They don't usually ever go in the house, and they had noticed, I guess, that they had not seen them around for the past few weeks, is what they told authorities. But one of them and I guess I don't really understand how he didn't see this before, but one of the days, after I guess he hadn't seen him for a couple weeks, he looks in the window and sees the wife laying on the, or not the wife, Gene Hackman laying near the door. Obviously, passed away, dead. Now, there is no suspicion of foul play, but they found no carbon monoxide or gas leaks, but the official autopsy and toxicology reports are still pending. So we have to wait to see what happens with that first. But this is crazy. First of all, Gene Hackman is one of the most well-known actors of all time. So the fact that he was left alone long enough with his wife and no one was calling, no one was checking on them, nothing like this, that they were able to go until they were mummified, that's wild, for lack of a better word. I don't like using that word anymore because people use it too much now, but that's crazy. So rest in power to him and his wife. I can't imagine it sounds like a gas. I don't want to speculate honestly, but it sounds like it has to be a gas leak. They would know if it was anything else like intruder or anything like that. They would have found marks or break-ins or something, and there was nothing like that. So it's just very sad. Very sad. So rest in power to those two. Gene Hackman was actually a former Marine. So shout out to my veteran, a former Marine. He joined at age 16 and he briefly studied journalism before pursuing acting in New York. His career spanned over 5 decades with more than 100 screen credits and 5 Oscar nominations, winning 2, one for The French Connection and one for Unforgiven. He also won 4 Golden Globes and won the Cecil B. DeMille Award. He had played in a lot of things, Bonnie and Clyde, Superman. If you're a sports fan watching this show, he's famous for being a coach in Hoosiers. So he excelled at playing, the tough guys, sometimes villains, things like that. He also, in his retired time, wrote historical fiction novels. So rest in power again to not only Gene Hackman, but Michelle Trachtenberg. Moving on, talking about Oscars, the Oscars, the Academy Awards, Hollywood's biggest night was this past weekend. And so you're going to ask me, Omar, who took home Best Picture at the Oscars? And I am going to tell you, yes, it was Anora. Filmed in New York City, Anora took home 5 Academy Awards last night. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Best Editing, and Best Original Screenplay. So, a very big winning spree for them with 5 awards. They were not huge in the box office, though. It only generated $15.5 million here domestically in the United States, $38 million only globally. So not a huge budget, but the Oscars, Academy Awards have been moving more towards the abstract movies, the non-mainstream sort of movies that aren't making a lot of money. Now, obviously, Wicked was in there, but for the ones especially that have been winning, they've been less known movies. That being said, the director for Anora, Sean Baker, did say he really hopes that movies start to come back in movie theaters. Obviously, he said after the pandemic, we lost a lot of the movie theater going. I can tell you myself, I have not been to a movie since COVID. I have not been back to the movie theater since COVID. And that's actually sad because I used to love going to the movies. And it's not for a lack of trying. There's a couple movies I wanted to go see, but then I just decided not to because I just figured it wasn't worth the price. So it's not necessarily anything to do at all with COVID or anything. I just haven't been back since then because of movie choice and or however much it's going to cost just to go see a movie. Then I can wait because I have all the streaming services anyways. So they come out in a few weeks anyway. So why? Now, if it's like a Star Wars, if a future Star Wars film came out, yeah, I would probably go. That's something you want to see in the theaters. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand if you like Avengers or you like any of these other superhero movies, you might want to see that in the theaters. I can completely understand that. Seems to be a more fun experience when you have the noise, the adrenaline, the audience, and all of those different things. About the other big pictures that we're looking at possibly being able to win anything here, you had The Brutalist, which was a historical drama that secured 3 awards, including Best Actor Adrian Brody. But this actually had some drama because they used AI in some of their generation of scenes in their movie to recreate historical scenes. They used AI in some of it. So it was a big fuss in the industry of like, whoa, that shouldn't be allowed. You should be making your movies strictly off of your own talents. But come on now, how long have movies been using CGI? For forever now, since Star Wars back in the 2000s or 99s, right? So like, isn't that the same thing? I get it. You're blurring the lines when you use AI and these sort of things, and it can become a thing where, yeah, maybe you get the leg up on somebody who's not. But I mean, the tools are all available to all of us. I use AI for my business every day. The tools are available to all of us. If you choose not to use it, that's on you, right? Work smarter, not harder, is what I say. Kieran Culkin won Best Supporting Actor for comedy drama A Real Pain, which actually looks good, and I kind of want to check out. Also, Zoe Saldana, won Best Supporting Actress for crime musical. Amelia Perez, which also won Best Original Song. Wicked, the aforementioned Wicked, and Dune Part 2 both won 2 awards. But more bad publicity for the aforementioned Amelia Perez movie, which started out very strong, fell a favor because the star became the center of the old tweets controversy when the old tweets come back to haunt you. Let me just say this, y'all. As a social media, I teach social media to small business owners, professor of digital marketing, social media, all of the things. I must tell you, you definitely do not want to tweet anything or post anything incriminating or divisive that you are not comfortable with coming back. And if you're comfortable with it, then say whatever the hell you want to say. There's a lot of people out there that, especially on X, that or formerly Twitter, the artist formerly known as Twitter, people speak their mind there all the time and don't give a F. So if you don't care, then by all means, say whatever you want to say and just own up to it. But if you don't want it to come back and later haunt you and you're worried about that, probably not best to post things online that could, and it did. It came back to haunt them, and it took away some of the shine on that movie. So Anora was the big winner here. Moving on, Blue Origin. We're talking Jeff Bezos, the rocket company. You see it right there. They are doing a new flight. It is going to be an all-women's crew. The first time it will be all women. The 11th crew launched. It will include singer Katy Perry, CBS anchor Gayle King, Jeff Bezos' fiance, Lauren Sanchez, obviously, only makes sense, Aisha Bowe, a NASA aerospace engineer, entrepreneur Amanda Wynn, and Amanda Wynn is a research scientist and civil rights activist, and Carrie Ann Flynn, who is a film producer. So that is going to be, this is where they take them about 10 minutes just beyond the Earth's atmosphere to be able to get out of, the atmosphere and see space for a few minutes, and then they come back down. So you'll remember this has been happening since, I think, right around COVID 2021. There is no price listed on the website, only saying that tourists that want to go must pay $150,000 deposit just to start the process. So, hey, y'all, you want to blast off into space with Jeff Bezos and his phallic-shaped rocket? I'm trying to be non-profane on the show. Well, then you can. For the low deposit of $150,000 low. That's low. That's a discount, baby. Okay? Jeff Bezos going to take your money if you're going to take his dick. Take his flight. Maybe both. That's what it looked like. Anyways, so, but the high-profile guests, which a lot of these are, and like the NASA astronauts, stuff like that, a lot of them will fly for free. People kind of complain about this because of the fact that they think that the money can be used for much better things. I mean, if you know me, you obviously know I am always in that camp that we waste a lot of money and people waste a lot of money that can be used to help a lot of people in need. But also, that's not any of the people's faults that are taking the flight. That's Jeff Bezos' fault. So if you want to take it up with anybody, you take that up with Jeff Bezos and ask him to donate more to charity. Because that ain't Gail King's fault for all y'all trolls on the internet trying to get on her saying she's wrong for taking the flight. If I got offered, I'd take it too. I don't think he should wisely use his money more to help out the community, but it also don't mean I'm going to miss out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity either. Anyways, to compete, Elon Musk, SpaceX, to compete with Elon Musk's SpaceX, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin is going to lay off 10% of its workforce, almost 1,400 employees this month. So obviously with the Doge cutting, Elon and Jeff Bezos are both trying to do more cutting in their own businesses. One thing that Jeff Bezos is not cutting, Amazon has unveiled its new AI-powered update for Alexa. So even though it's not a streaming service, it is called Alexa Plus. For all you Alexa users out there, if you want to use it, again, an AI-powered updated Alexa called Alexa Plus, unveiled by Amazon. And update, we talked about this about a month ago, 2 months ago. Amazon was in, they had a disagreement with the Broccolis. And no, I did not make that name up. I promise you, the family's name is the Broccolis. I know I made a Clue joke last time, Mr. Mustard, but they are the main matriarch. What a great word for, great word, matriarch. Barbara Broccoli. There was a disagreement between them and Amazon for the famed James Bond franchise. Now they have finally come to a deal. Barbara Broccoli, along with her brother Michael Wilson, not Michael Broccoli, inherited control of the James Bond franchise from their father. The family maintained control over the intellectual property for more than 60 years, but under the new venture, creative control will be given over to MGM Studios, which Amazon acquired in 2022 for $8.5 billion, while the Broccoli family members, I just like saying that, will remain co-owners in the franchise. This is a boon for Amazon. There are 25 Bond films in total made so far that made a collective $6 billion at the domestic box office, not broccoli office. And they are coming at a time when they are starting to want to look into creating new James Bond movies and having a new James Bond. So we'll see what happens there. YouTube influencer Mr. Beast. Yes, the biggest YouTube influencer of all time, the one known for doing the crazy stunts, including the real life Squid Games, the one known for, he was even partnering at the NBA All-Star game. We talked about the three-point shooting contest he had. Well, he is planning an investment round, and his company is being possibly valued at $5 billion. He owns things like Feastables, which is a lunch snack pack similar to Lunchables and other things such as candy, and obviously his YouTube channels in plural. Shabuzi, a bar song, parenthetically, Tipsy. I'll get to that in just a second. Tops Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart for the 35th week in a row, a record for a single act since the Hot Country Songs chart began in 1958. Now, you're going to say, Omar, why do you have an issue with this? Well, first of all, let's get to two things straight. First of all, is it country music in the sense that it has a country tune? Sure, but it's more pop country. It's more of the other type of country that they have nowadays. So it's not really like traditional country anyway. So the fact that it lasted 35 weeks on the country chart kind of upsets me. But also, what more upsets me about this song is how on earth, what the deuce, how on earth can he take a song Everybody remembers the song I'm talking about. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. This is a straight bite of that. The chorus is the same, just with a little bit added on. Why is this legal? How is this legal? How can you just rip somebody's song off like that? I'm so mad that this song became so famous. Not because it's not catchy, because it's catchy AF, as the kids say, which I've actually never said out my mouth. But now that I hear myself say it, it sounded actually kind of cool. Catchy AF. Yes, it is. But it's a complete bite off of a 2000 rap song called Tipsy, which I completely forgot the artist of. Somebody can help me out there. Somebody help me out in the comments. Who was a rap artist that did Tipsy? Somebody help me out there. I know somebody. It's Jay something. It's not J. Cole. It was Jay something. Not Jay Zone. I love Jay Zone, though. Shout out Jay Zone. What a great hip hop artist. Hold on. I'm going to look up. Jaquan. That's what it was. Jaquan. So, yes. Shout out Morning Wombat. How's it going, brother? Everybody tuning in. Thank you. We appreciate it. Morning Wombat. Very much so. Yes, I appreciate you. Wow, man. That's very humbling. We put in a lot of hard work on here, multiple shows, sports, entertainment, news, a lot of variety. And, I'm happy that you're enjoying the content. If you are enjoying that content and you're on YouTube right now, please, y'all, hit that subscribe button for us as well. Hit that like button. It's free and it'll help us out. But again, thank you, Morning Wombat. We really appreciate it. All y'all make sure, because I know the Morning Wombat caught us from our boxing stream, we will have our Combat Sports Special, Clubber D, the Combat G, our UFC MMA Boxing Insider. We will have it for UFC 313 as well. He will do boxing, MMA news, and updates. So make sure you tune in Thursday at 8 p.m., Wednesday at 8 p.m., The Bottom Line Sports as well. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., country boxing is what I'll be covering live at the venue in the Opryland at the Troubadour Theater, Nashville. So make sure you tune in, subscribe to Ball and Buds. You'll catch all of our live shows all week long as well. I put out videos on a daily basis from all the shows that we do for recaps and things like that, and new videos, unseen videos. So please go ahead and support us. We really appreciate it, and tap in with all of our friends. Moving on, Charlie XCX won Artist and Album of the Year at the 2025 Brit Awards, which is the United Kingdom's highest profile music awards show. Also, companies will unveil their latest phones and laptops. So if you're a techie, the Mobile World Congress gets underway today in Barcelona. So if you're looking for your next new phone, your next new laptop, the next new high-tech product, definitely make sure, again, that you check out that going on this week, the Mobile World Conference. Again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're going to keep it moving on into our world, into our United States news, we got a lot of news going on in the United States over the past couple of weeks. And, y'all know I go weekly here on this Monday program, but, last week I tried something different. I did a day in the life of the professor. If you caught it, good for you, because it was not live for long. My executive producer made me take it down. I thought it was cool. She did not think so much. Shout out to her. I love her work. Anyways, there have been deaths reported in a Texas measles outbreak. So the Texas measles outbreak has now sickened 124 people in Texas and New Mexico, and an unvaccinated school-age child has died. They're saying there may be some other deaths as well, maybe up to 4 that have not been confirmed yet. We know of only 2 confirmed yet. So this is crazy, y'all. How are we having a measles outbreak after it was eradicated 100 years ago with polio? This is crazy. First COVID, then the bird flu, now measles. What's next? Ebola coming back? We're gonna have the Black Plague coming back. What is happening? We're gonna have the I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so excited, Zach. I'm so scared. All right. Wow. Anyways, RFK Jr., Health and Human Services Secretary, at first said that measles outbreaks happen every year and that it was nothing to worry about. He then turned that back around, as he should have, because he's the Health and Human Services Secretary, and said that it is the number one priority now for the HHS. These are the first people, even if outbreaks happen every year, to actually die from measles in the past decade. So please keep yourselves safe out there, especially if you're unvaccinated for measles, which at this point, I get not being vaccinated to COVID. I completely understand that, because it was a shot that was made up on the go, very quick. And I understand if people were hesitant. I understand if people were untrustworthy. Completely understand. There's a lot of communities that have been harmed by the scientific community, both white and black. But, a lot of, if you remember the experiments they did on black people, African Americans back in the day. So a lot of people hesitate to take this. I get it. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're not vaccinated for measles or polio, I mean, at this point, I think you can assume those are pretty safe. Pretty safe, since they've been around for hundreds. I'm no doctor, so please don't take any doctor's advice from me. But you probably want to be vaccinated to at least those things. COVID, I get it. But measles and I thought you had to get that to go to school. I thought you had to get that to go to public school anyways. Someone help me out in the comments. Do you have to be vaccinated? I thought you had to be vaccinated for polio and measles to be able to go to public school. Someone help me out and let me know if that's the case or not. Moving on. Thousands of workers, federal workers in Washington, D.C. I'm from there. 75% of the people I know are federal workers, so this hits home very close to me, are very worried about their jobs these days with DOGE and the cuts that are going on. Unfortunately, they are taking a chainsaw instead of clippers, and they are cutting a lot of things. And one of the most unfortunate problems with this is a lot of veterans are losing their job, and that's really what hurts me the most. A lot of veterans are on probationary status a lot of different times because of the fact that veterans have veterans preference. Veterans have when they go up for promotions, they have to go on probation. So you could be going up for a promotion to a GS-15, right, as a veteran, but because you're in probationary status, you're at a chance of being fired. And don't tell me it not happen, because they fired some of our nuclear engineers and had to rehire them and bring them back because they made mistakes. So again, I am all for DOGE cutting efficiency and effectiveness, the waste, fraud, waste, and abuse of the government. I get it. The government wastes a lot of money. I know it. I've seen it firsthand. So I agree. But when you start to do too much and you try to take a chainsaw instead of clippers and you try to slaughter instead of manicure, that's when things happen to good people. And a lot of veterans are losing their jobs that don't deserve to. A lot of them that got given a lot of good service to this country, not only through the military, but also post-military. So that's something that really worries me there. But we'll see what happens. They're not going to stop. And President Donald Trump has said that there may actually be possibly some checks sent out. I know that's been making the realms of maybe $5,000 checks going out to everybody. I mean, if they're saving that much money, it should be a little more than that. But also, it's been shown that they are not saving as much money as they're claiming, which obviously should be understood by anybody with a logical brain. You should know that they're going to come out and say they've cut $50 billion, but they've only cut $5 billion. You should already know they're inflating everything by 10 times. Now, again, I completely agree with the program, and I want them to cut as much as possible, but they're going to be inflating everything that they say. So when they say they've cut, $1 trillion, they have not truly cut $1 trillion. They've cut like $250 billion. So anything they say, take like take 10 to 20% of that as valid. You know what I mean? Morning Wombat says, LOL, I agree with you. Measles vaccine should be obvious. Well, yeah. By now, right? Measles and polio, if you ain't got that vaccine, I don't know what to tell you, because that's been around 100 years. It's safe. I think you can take it. Yes, it is a requirement. I don't know if you still have to be vaccinated for measles or polio, but it should be a requirement. I think Maria Fonseca, my executive producer, says yes. Shout out my executive producer. Thank you. I love you. So it's something that needs to be taken into consideration. Yeah, they are. Lies. Yeah, some people would call it lies. I would say it's more hyperbolic. You remember we talked about that word, hyperbolic. I'd say it's more of an exaggeration. But yeah, they're definitely going to come out and say, oh, we've cut billions of dollars when maybe they only found 500 million in that place. Of course they're going to do that. Anybody who thinks that they're not doing that is not thinking logically, because why wouldn't they try to make it as much more? We've all written, I'm not saying it's right. Obviously, it's wrong for you to inflate it by that much, but who here has not eloquently and exuberantly, two great words for a Puerto Rican on a live TV show, fluffed up their resume? Every damn one of you watching this program right to hell now. All of y'all have fluffed up your resume. Now, again, I'm not saying it's right to say that you have, cut trillions of dollars when maybe you haven't. And I'm not even saying that it's right that they have all the access to information that they currently have, because I don't believe you should have access to social security numbers and things like that. But that being said, I do want us to get the waste out of the government. I do want that. I know you don't lie. I've never actually heard you tell a lie in your life, actually, to be completely honest. Exactly. No one is arguing that the government couldn't be more efficient and or streamlined, but Doge is too destructive. They're firing a lot of talented and capable government employees. Amen. Amen. Again, I'm completely with you. I advocate for Doge cutting fraud, waste, and abuse from the government. I know, as a former government worker myself for 10 years, I know how much the government wastes money. I saw it with my own eyes as a veteran. I still see it with the VA, and sometimes it upsets me when they do things like mail me a big-ass mail package for a small bottle prescription. But I'm like, you really didn't need to do that. I didn't need that, and I didn't want that, and you're wasting money. So, and I'm also very big on just making sure you're at least fiscally responsible for yourself and your family, if nothing else. But yeah, you can't just go through with the chainsaw and cut everything, because a lot of people, innocent people, good people, hardworking people, especially veterans in the main part, are losing their jobs. A lot of veterans losing their jobs. A lot of people that have given this country a lot of good years of service are losing their jobs because these cuts are not precise enough. Again, I want the cuts. I advocate for the cuts. I do not advocate for a pig slaughter. I do not advocate for wholehearted cuts that just cut any willy-nilly anyone out the picture. No, that's unacceptable. If we're going to be cutting, it needs to be more precise. It needs to be more targeted. It needs to be line by line. This is what we're cutting, blase, blase, blah. Now, if it's an outrageous program, of course. But then you cannot always believe everything you hear, because, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, both conservative and liberal and moderate. If you watch this program, you know I am an independent. I am a moderate. I am neither conservative nor liberal. I do not like either party. I think all politicians, shout out my boy Francis Long for this beautiful Blue Yeti mic he bought me. If you want to sponsor me, Blue, let me know. Shout out to him. As I always say, politicians are liars, cheaters, and scums. Woo! They all lie, they all cheat, they all steal. They're all out for their own good. The good of their constituents, the good of their family, the good of their pockets. Politicians do not give a crap about the normal person. So when they do these cuts, a lot of people aren't thinking about the faces and the names and the people, innocent people that could be losing their jobs and now not able to support their families. Again, completely agree with cutting the government waste and abuse out. By all means, amen, hallelujah, please do. But can we please just be a little more precise? Veterans losing their jobs, people that I know close to me that have been in government for a long time, scared of losing their job for no reason other than just wanton cuts. We can be better than that. We can. But I totally agree with cutting. I totally agree. The government wastes a lot of money, y'all. I've seen it. It's pretty bad. But anyways, that doesn't mean that, there's a lot more cuts they can make in other places too than just employees. So There's a lot of things that could be done. But my main point about that was you also got to be careful with everything that you hear, y'all, because a lot of times on whether you listen to conservative shows or liberal shows, you're going to get those talking points that they want you to hear. You're going to get whatever that they want their base to hear. And I listen to both because when I listen to the news, I like to check both out. So like, for instance, if I know a news story is going on and it's like liberal minded, I might start on CNN or MSNBC. And then after that, I'll go to Fox News or Newsmax, or sometimes, God forbid, I've watched OAN, the crazy one. It's a little out there. But anyways, I want to see what the differing viewpoints are because I do care about what both sides have to say about the issues. But the problem is when falsehoods start to come out, when they were saying that we were providing, condoms for Hamas, which was not true at all. These things, some of these things, you just can't believe everything you hear and read. You got to make, now granted, when you have it retweeted, by people that could be affiliated with Elon Musk and other things like that, it gets hard to know what is true and what is false. But as a consumer, we have to take a very unique eye to these sort of situations, y'all. Don't just listen to whoever you listen to and take their word as gospel. You need to do research on your own. You need to figure out, okay, well, what is actually happening here? Is what's being said really being said? Are we really, providing condoms to Hamas, or is that just something they're trying to say to rally you up? And is that something that anyone on the internet could have made up? We got to think, y'all. It's like the meme. You got to think. Got to. You got to be critical thinkers in this day of age. Critical thinking is a lost skill in this day and age. It is a lost art. We do not know how to communicate any longer because of cell phones, because of screens, all this stuff. We don't know how to critically think anymore. People don't read anymore because they're always on their phones. Half the society. Has anyone seen Idiocracy? It is one of my favorite movies of all time. Favorite movies of all time. And this is where we're heading as society. We are getting dumber and dumber as a society. Dumber and dumber as the generations go on. And it's really bad. You need to start. I mean, it comes down to parents making sure that their children get the right education, get the right teaching. I know my mom, amazing, most amazing mother ever. I love her. She's my angel. She taught me early. She was making me read books. She was reading words to me out of the dictionary. She was playing, music. She was teaching me words and numbers in English and Spanish. And she was trying to do all these things to make sure that I grew up and was smart. And thank God to her and my dad. And thank God I turned out very smart. But as a society, we're getting so much more dumb. I sounded dumb by saying dumb without saying more before it. But we just are getting so much more dumber as a society as time goes on. Something that needs to be fixed. And cutting the education department doesn't, and I'm not one for the education department because especially when it was being run by Betsy DeVos, let's not get started on her. She really demolished that education department. And I'm all for Linda McMahon running it again because I like wrestling and I like Linda McMahon because I think that she put up with a lot of Vince McMahon shit that she didn't have to put up with. And so I don't think she's a bad person like he is per se. I shouldn't say he's a bad person. Allegedly, Vince McMahon is a bad person. But I don't think cutting the Department of Education is the answer to that. I think we need more resources into our education. We need more monies paid to teachers. One of my best friends, I was with her yesterday. She's a teacher. And I know that teachers don't get paid enough for the amount of work that they do and the good amount of work that they do. So we really got to invest more in that. Wombat. I also want to say mass deportations make zero sense to me. I was an econ major. The deportations themselves cost billions and billions, and it could potentially crater our economy. Amen again. You are spot on, Morning Wombat. I said this exact thing on this program about 3 weeks ago. I took international business and marketing was my double major in college. So I had to take economics multiple times, different types of economics. So I am completely with you. when you take out a huge part of the labor force, whether undocumented or not, whether you like them or not, huge part of our labor force doing jobs, by the way, that most Americans don't want to do. Let's be completely honest. Most Americans don't want to go pick corn in the field. Most Americans don't want to be maids at hotels. Most Americans don't want to do these dirty jobs that the immigrants are willing to do. So when you take out a major part, I shouldn't say majority, but when you take out a big part of the workforce, even if they're undocumented, they're still part of the workforce, which is still part of the economy, then you are inherently going to majorly affect the economy. So I agree with you here as well. I said this before. I am all for deporting criminals. Get rid of all the criminals. Any of the bad people, kick them out. I want them gone. I don't want them here either, because I don't want to fear for my life either. But just sending all the immigrants home, including the innocent, hardworking, good people, just doesn't make sense. Not only just does it not make sense from a human being standpoint, I mean, me as a person who loves humans and wants to help as many people as possible, especially the poorest people in the poorest parts of the world, these are the people that I really want to help personally. Like, from a human standpoint, I can't even understand it. But from an economical standpoint, just makes it even more mind-baffling that you would expect to take away a huge part of the workforce and expect that not to harm your economy. So yes, agreed. And yeah, you said that. We're both saying the same thing. Exactly. And yes, there is one part I will play advocate with you here, and that is, yes, they do spend money in their communities, but a lot of time the immigrant families do send money back to their home countries. So a lot of the money does depart the country as well. So we got to acknowledge both sides of the issue there. But yes, they do still spend money here, and taking them out of those jobs, which are not going to be filled by all Americans, right? Yeah, half of them, maybe a quarter might be filled by Americans who need jobs, but not all of them, because again, Americans don't want to do those type of jobs. I know. I don't want to do those type of jobs. I hate manual labor. You'll never see me doing construction or some stuff. When I was 16, I was a mechanic for a summer, and that sucked. I don't want to do anything with my hands. That's why I work on a computer. I don't want to do manual labor. So I highly admire those people that can do that sort of thing and do that physical labor for hours and hours and hours. Salute to them, because it's not a job many people want to do. The tariffs, yeah, I'm going to get into the tariffs in just a second, Morning Wombat. When I get into my, actually, we're going to talk about it right now. That's a great segue, actually. Yes, I do my tariff update, and we're going to talk about it today because tomorrow the tariffs go into effect. Yes, tomorrow Donald Trump's tariffs go into effect on Mexico, Canada, and China. So Morning Wombat says the tariffs are also dumb as shit. Any economist worth a damn would say the same thing. The consequence will be increased prices of goods for consumers. Yes, basic economics, the law of supply and demand, the law of, just as you said, basic economics, when you increase the price of imported goods into a country, inherently, most of those companies are going to pass that cost on to the customer. It's just how it is. Now, I do want to play advocate again with you, because this morning I did read that Chipotle is one company that said they're not going to pass the cost on to their company, that their customers, that they're going to eat the cost themselves. Now, whether they actually do that, again, let's think critically here, y'all. Whether they actually do that or just playing lip service, they're just telling us, we don't know. You actually got to follow up, check their financials, check their quarterly reports, see if they did what they really said they were going to do. And if they didn't, then don't support them, if that's what you base that off of. But yeah, so let's get into this, right? Tariffs do increase prices for consumers because most companies are not going to eat those costs. They're not going to want to eat those costs that are going to allow them to have to eat up a much more bigger part of their revenue, of their profit. Why would they do that when they can just raise their hamburgers 20 cents, 30 cents? And the customer is going to continue to eat it, because not only are we getting dumber as a society, we're also getting more lazy as a society. We're also getting more obese as a society. Fast food about saying it is epidemic. That's what I was going to say epidemic. And then in my mind, I wanted to say epic. I was like, no, it's not epic. It's an epidemic. But yes, so, I mean, all, the processed food, things like that all really hurts. Not only us and I know because all I eat is processed food. So you can take that from the mouth of the horse because I don't like to cook and I just don't like to cook and I'm not going to. So most of the food I eat, if I don't eat out, well, I eat out a lot. Is processed stuff that I can microwave or mashed potatoes, rice, ramen, Pop-Tarts, things like that. Yes, I have the diet of a 5-year-old. Don't judge me. Anyways, let's move into this. Tomorrow, the tariffs will start. Remember, President Trump first announced these tariffs 90 days ago, he announced that there will be a 90-day pause. It was just back in when he took office January 20th. He announced the tariffs, 25% on Canada and Mexico. I'm sorry, 25% on Canada and Mexico, and increased tariffs on China. He was adding another 10% on what they already had in there, which they have the most. So China gets tariffed the most. But the problem with that is we get most of our items from China. We get most of our stuff from China. So if we're tariffing anything, you're going to pay more. Just know that, as Morning Wombat and I so astutely pointed out. But one of the reasons that he's tariffing Mexico and Canada is because of border issues. He claims that Canada is allowing a lot of fentanyl to enter the country. I would like to state on this program, as you know, I am the professor. I want to make sure that you are learned on this program. That is not true. It is less than 1%. Actually, I think it's like 0.25%. Let me get the actual number here. I had it earlier, but it is less than 1% of the actual fentanyl that's coming into the country is coming through Canada. So the tariffs on them really don't make sense to me. I agree. I don't think we should be tariffing Canada. Mexico makes a little more sense just because of the border. I do agree we could probably tariff them a little bit just to try to get that border in order. But border crossings, since Trump has taken office, we must admit, have gone down. They've had the lowest reporting border crossings, in decades, or not decades, maybe since Obama, because Obama was the one that actually was deporting the most people, even more than Trump. So, barring any last minute changes, we are going to see these tariffs on Canada and Mexico come into play tomorrow. So we'll see what he actually says as the actual percentages of the tariffs. But yes, as Morning Wombat and I talked about, when you have tariffs on another country, on their goods that are being imported into this country, us as consumers are going to foot the bill. Again, you may get lucky at some companies. I mentioned Chipotle. They said they're going to eat the cost. Pun was intended. But not most of the 90% of the companies are not going to do that. Probably 95% of the companies are not going to do that. 95% of the companies are going to pass that on to you. So yeah, you may still get the same priced avocado at Chipotle, but I guarantee you go to Chili's, that guacamole going to be an extra 50 cents or $1. You better watch that joint out. Morning Wombat says, because of our trade agreements with Mexico and Canada, yes, formerly NAFTA, and then Trump changed that to the USMCA or something like that. Anyways, he says our auto industries are intertwined. I used to work as a consultant in an auto supply chain. This will hurt the American auto industry. Again, spot on is the Morning Wombat. I really appreciate you commenting with such astute analysis that you're bringing to this program. I really appreciate that. And you're right. We get a lot of our auto industry supplies, things like that from both Mexico and Canada. So cars are about to really boost up in price. So if you're looking to buy a new car, if you're in the market, the time was this morning. Before tariffs were tomorrow. You better go tomorrow and hope you can find a new car at the lot before that price jacks up. If you're looking for a new car, you better take off of work tomorrow and go in the morning before these tariffs get enacted, because if not, you're going to spend $10,000 more on that Corolla. Why she riding in a Corolla? riding in a Corolla. Anyways, everything else is going to go up. Your avocados, your electronics, especially if they slap those tariffs on China even more, like he said he was going to do. We get everything from China. All our electronics come from China. So, but you can't, and look, I do need to clarify something on this program, and I'm glad Morning Wombat and I are discussing this here, because I do need to clarify my position on tariffs. My executive producer told me after the last episode that I needed to clarify my position because she felt that I didn't clarify myself well enough when I said that I initially agreed with the tariffs. When Donald Trump first came out and said that he was going to enact these tariffs, I said the same thing that Morning Wombat and I just talked about. I talked about the economics of it. I said how it was going to hurt the countries by the prices being raised, things like that. I also said, though, that because some of these countries, China, Mexico, Russia, North Korea, whatever, any of these people that are supposed to be, at least in the case of Russia, are enemies, and we'll get to that in just a second. That was crazy. We'll get to the crazy news in just a second. Don't you worry. But I said that I would support his tariffs against those more extreme countries because I know how much of a threat those countries are to us because I'm fondly aware of world dynamics, and let's just say that from my time in. Anyways, I don't agree with Canada's tariffs, but I also need to clarify that the reason I said to use the tariffs against those countries like China and our enemies was not because I felt like that was going to make our economy better or I thought that it was the right thing. It was the fact that these countries that are most adversarial to us, he needs to put his foot down and tariff the shit out of them because unless they're China, which is probably the only one that could put up with it because, again, they supply so much of our products. If it's any other country in the world, they eventually have to back down because they're not as powerful, they're not as rich, they don't have the leverage that we have. So technically, if Donald Trump wanted to continue to tariff Canada and Mexico as much as possible until they just said, okay, we give up, he could do that. I don't agree that he should to either one of them since they're our neighbors. But if you said, oh, he could do that to China, North Korea, Russia, I'm all for it, right? Because at some point, well, not China. I take that back. Not China. Because, again, they supply too much stuff. But Russia, North Korea, other adversarial enemies that are not China, yes, you can do that. Because at some point, they're going to have to give up because their economy is going to fail. Especially somebody like Russia, whose economy is already on the brink with war and other things. So, definitely something we'll keep you updated on this program, though. Morning Wombat. I'm not even trying to get too political either. Oh, no worries. Hey, we do politics on this show. This show is a variety show. It is my weekly news, sports, entertainment, world news headlines. So I think it's important, exactly like you said, it is very important that real world Americans have these discussions between each other, that we can talk and we can discuss, even if we're on different sides of the aisle, which I don't know where you're at, and I don't need to know that. But it's good that we as people can actually discuss instead of the hate and divisiveness, the division that is affecting our country so badly right now. So I really appreciate you tuning in. I loved the honest and real conversation that we had today. Thank you so much. Make sure you stay tuned. We got some more to get into right now. Make sure y'all are subscribed. Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. There's a handy QR code up top. Scan that. That'll take you to our YouTube. You can subscribe. Our Instagram, you can follow. Twitter, TikTok, Bottom Line Sports. Don't forget Combat Sports Special UFC 313, Clubber D, the Combat G, our UFC, Boxing, MMA Insider, Thursday, 8 p.m., Wednesday, 8 p.m., The Bottom Line Sports, and tomorrow night, 8 p.m., Country Box. I'll be there live. Check me out. Donald Trump tomorrow. President Donald Trump will address the Congress. It sounds like a State of the Union, but remember the State of the Union is usually the annual address. This is just, let's be completely honest. We know at this point, no matter how you feel about President Trump, he likes to talk. He likes to talk. You know some people in your life that just really like to talk, right? You know those people. Me and my friends back home like to call it people that will put you in a session. Is a sessioner. They are going to talk your ear off until you just give up and you're just like, okay, I gotta walk away. There are people like that. I am not one of them. This is the only time you're really going to hear me talk is when I'm on these TV programs for the most part. I don't really talk in my own regular life. But some people like to talk. President Trump is one of those people. He likes to hear himself. He likes to hear his own voice. He likes to think out loud. He likes to say what comes to mind and see what the reaction is from the public. So at this point, if you're expecting anything less from him wanting to be front stage and center of the camera and giving an address, even though no one asked for it, of course he's going to do that because that's who he is. He is a reality show star. He is a businessman. He is someone who needs to be in front of the camera in the limelight at all time. Coming from a media personality, person who loves to do the same thing, I can at least respect it. But this does... it does cause an effect sometimes when he gets ahead of his skis and he says things that maybe shouldn't be said or announces things that shouldn't be announced. And we've talked about that plenty of times before in this program. But one thing is just really relevant right now because it came out today. But previously he had said he wasn't into crypto, right? And now all of a sudden he is the crypto president. So much so that he has offered more clarity on the U.S. crypto reserve. Yes, you heard that right. The United States is getting their own crypto reserve department. Trump has announced on Truth Social that it will include Bitcoin, Ethereum, and 3 smaller tokens, Solana, XRP, and Cardano. That is pretty wild news. Obviously, as you know, as we move more into the digital age, this was coming. A digital form of currency was coming. I mean, we already have credit cards and other things anyways. So a digital form of currency was coming. And while you may not trust crypto, and you definitely shouldn't trust meme coins. And we've talked about that on this program before. Definitely don't trust any of that. If you're going to trust anything, trust stuff that is on the blockchain, things that are secure. Bitcoin, Ethereum, those are actually backed by the actual blockchain where it's like insurance and guardrails and parameters and things of that nature. Anyways, so pretty crazy. Y'all look forward to that. We're going to have our own crypto reserve, probably our own sort of coin at some point. I know we already have the US dollar coin, which is what the blockchain uses to base all of the other cryptocurrencies on. It uses the US dollar coin, which is attached to the value of the US dollar. And they use that relative for all the other cryptocurrencies to base itself around. So that's how that works, in case you didn't know. So anyways, we'll look forward to that, see what happens there. In another part of before, you know what? Let's go through a couple other news items before I get into that. I want to do that right before the world news. FBI Director Kash Patel, former prosecutor, intelligence official, was confirmed by the U.S. Senate in a very close vote, 51-49. Another person trying to come back. I told you all about this a few weeks ago. I announced, you heard it here first. Actually, you might have heard it from his brother, Chris Cuomo. Hey, Chris, shout out my brother. You do a great job. I really appreciate the moderate take that you give, the centrist take that you give, and the intelligence that you bring to politics. I appreciate it. But his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, I told y'all a few weeks ago he was coming back to run for New York City mayor against Eric Adams. Now that Eric Adams is under so much legal was under legal challenges until Donald Trump had his case thrown out. And if you don't think President Donald Trump had Eric Adams' case thrown out, you need to have your head examined because all the facts are right there in front of you. Cuomo enters the race as a significant favorite to beat Eric Adams. Yes, he was a very popular New York City mayor when he was there. And he right now has 38% of the vote. Adams is not even number 2. He's number 3 at 10%. So it looks like Eric Adams, he gone. Hey, brother, look, I don't know how you came in as the law and order mayor and then we're taking bribes on the side, but I mean, that's diabolical, vitriolic, malicious work for a mayor who is a former cop, former prosecutor, former, police personnel to then accept bribe, allegedly Let me make sure I phrase that correctly. Allegedly took bribes. Don't need to get canceled. Allegedly. So check the facts is all I'll say. Alleged allegations are out there. You can check the facts and decide for yourself. That being said, again, he is the favorite to win that position back as the New York City mayor. Someone stepping down. Senator Mitch McConnell said he will not seek re-election in 2026. The 83-year-old Republican from Kentucky will retire at the end of his term. You will remember that he's had some freezing episodes on stage lately. He's had some falls as well. So, hey, I'm not conservative or liberal. I don't necessarily have an affinity for Mitch McConnell. I didn't feel one way or the other truly about him. I thought most of the time he was just like a weird guy that had just been there. But the thing that it is that he had so much power wielded within the Beltway, within the government, because he was elected to the Senate in 1984, because he did become the Republican leader in 2007 and did that for over 15 years. He had a lot of power. He was the one running things, when he was at his sharpest form. He was a master tactician, procedural tools, no holds bar approach. He tried to cut down everything that Obama did. They passed the tax reform, which, as we know, turned out to be a lot of tax cuts for wealthy billionaires. And we're looking at more of those coming up now with the new tax cuts that they're trying to make permanent from the previous Trump administration. Those are and I know, look, y'all, I know that, again, you want to hear what you want to hear. I know that you want to be told what you want to be told, but you got to do the research on your own. You got to look at the facts. Yes. Will these tax cuts, if they become permanent, give you a little bit of tax relief, maybe a couple $1,000? Yes, possibly. But do you know who's really going to get the majority of those tax cuts? The wealthy, the rich, the famous. Why do you think Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and the rest of them have their heads directly up President Trump's ass? Because they want kickback. Because they want benefits. They're not investing billions of dollars in the country for no reason. Shout out to my producer. I appreciate you. Thank you. Letting me know I'm doing a great show. I appreciate that. Love you. So you gotta think critically, y'all. Think critically. Anyways, moving on. Defense Department deployed roughly 3,000 additional troops, fleet of armored vehicles to U.S.-Mexico border to support migration enforcement measures. What else happened in the Department of Defense? This is really, I'm a little up in the air about this one. Actually, I'm not up in the air about this one. I am against this one. I'm not even going to say up in the air. I'm just against this one. New Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered that the U.S. Cyber Command stop all offensive cyber operations against Russia. And you're saying, Omar, what? How can we let our enemy just get away unchecked and unfettered without any of our, making sure we're on the offensive about finding out what they're doing and things like that? Well, now that President Donald Trump is trying to have a friendlier relationship with President Vladimir Putin in Russia, they have decided that we are only going to defend our cyberspace against Russia, but not go on the offensive to make sure that we are staying proactive to what they are doing. No, what? Completely and utterly unacceptable. As a veteran, as a person who has a lot of knowledge about this subject, hear it from me. Hear it from these mouth, this lip that is telling you the truth. You do not want that. You do not want this. We need to be on the offensive and the defensive against all of our adversaries and enemies. And even if we want to have a better relationship with Russia, or Donald Trump does, President Trump, that does not mean we do not need to be on the offensive, staying proactive about what their capabilities are. Because the moment we go off the offensive and we just stay defensive, that's the moment where we don't stay, as they call in the military, situationally aware. Or as some people now like to call it, as they've twisted the term woke into this crazy dog whistle. Woke just means situationally aware. That's all that means, if you know the original content of the word. But anyways, moving on from here, since most of y'all don't know things like that, I'm the professor. That's why I teach you. The U.S. Cyber Command, again, stopping all offensive missions against Russia. I just cannot get down with this. We need to make sure we stay on the offensive again against all of our adversaries to make sure that we are focusing on knowing exactly where they are, what they have, what they're doing, what satellites they're building, what kind of weapons they have, what kind of troop formations they're doing. Any of these things are very, very important when it comes to the defense of our country, and defense means offense. You have to go on. I'm going to give you a football analogy, okay? Because probably a lot of y'all watching right now are sports fans, because it's probably where you've seen me from, Bottom Line Sports or otherwise. Let me give you a football analogy here. I was about to give you one, but that was actually going to probably hurt my case. Because Peyton Manning, God bless his soul, when he threw 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions for the Broncos, but they still won the Super Bowl, that would be an outlier. But usually in sports, and in football mainly, or in basketball too, when you go have a good offense and you're always going on the offense, you're always putting pressure offensively, it takes the pressure off your defense. It allows your defense to relax and rest and keep their guards up for when it's most important. It allows your defense to be most efficient and effective when your offense is that much more powerful. Does that make sense? So if we are taking our foot off the gas of offensively being proactive and going on the offense in the cyber world against Russia, if we take our foot off the gas there, our defense has to work that much harder in order to defend our country and defend our borders from Russian attacks, which, by the way, they have nuclear weapons. It's not like they don't have nuclear weapons. They have a big-ass nuclear stockpile, not as big as ours, but they got a big-ass nuclear stockpile too. I did it on the show one time. I forget. I believe we have like 2,500 or something nuclear weapons, 26, something like that. And I think Russia has like, I want to say like 800. So they probably got like a third of ours, but they still have them. So don't act like they ain't a threat, because they definitely threaten Ukraine, and we'll get to that in just a second. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to move into that now. I was going to do this other story about the green card into the United States, where you can pay $5 million to get a green card from another country to come to the United States and work. I mean, if you have the money, I don't know who the hell just has a lot of these countries are really rich, so their people may have it. I was going to go into that story, but no, we're not. There's too big of a story out there that we haven't touched on yet, and we've obviously been going for almost 2 hours, so I need to make sure that I get you all out of here in a good amount of time. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds. If you're watching on YouTube, please smash that subscribe button right now. Hit that like button, please, as well right now for me. It is free. It costs you nothing, but it helps me out tremendously. Please hit that like button, the love, the heart, the laugh, like a love laugh, life decor photo. That's one of my go-tos. I think it's pretty funny. It's kind of corny, but it's still funny. McConnell is a bad person. Politicians should only serve about 10 years only term. Yeah, I mean, I don't know him as a human being, so I can't say whether he's bad or good, depending on what side of the aisle you're on. You're definitely going to feel one way or the other about him, but I definitely agree with you on term limits. Term limits need to be a thing for all politicians. The Supreme Court should not be lifetime appointees either. Me and my political strategist, Amul Madan, talked about this about a month and a half ago. Supreme Courts should have, 20-year term limits at the most. Most politicians, senators, 10 years, 15 at the most. We need to start putting the limits, and there needs to be age limits. If you're over the age of 70, get the hell out. If you're over the age of 70, you don't need to be a politician no more. We need the fresh voices to come in, because you're not in tune with the majority of the country anymore, because the average age of death of Americans is 76. Okay, so let me change that. 75. If you're over the age of 75, you can no longer serve in Congress, as a senator, why am I blanking right now? Oh, geez. Governor, as a president, as anything. Yeah, I said 70 at first too, but I think 75 is maybe a little better, just because the average age of death is 76. So I guess we don't want to put people to their graves too early. You know what I mean? People still want to work in their old age. I know some people know about that. When they should just be enjoying retired life. Let's move into the biggest story of the weekend. Oh my, what? Did y'all see what happened Friday in the Oval Office? Did y'all see what happened Friday? Wowzers. There's a picture for you. There's a nice little picture for you. Wow. What happened? I was going to come on live on Friday, and I couldn't even get my head completely wrapped around what had just happened. The news was coming hot and heavy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wait to go Monday when I can have the whole weekend again and have everything right. What happened Friday, yo? There was a blow up in the Oval Office. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was on his way to the United States to sign a minerals deal in which the United States would gain 50% of the mineral resources of Ukraine, or would have the rights to reserve 50% of the resources to Ukraine in exchange for what Ukraine was hoping to be a security deal, security guarantees by the United States against Russia. So what happens? Let me break it down for you. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenskyy arrives. They all go into the meeting chambers, try to hash out this deal. He finds out, there's no securities. There's no security guarantee here against Russia. We're going to be left out in the open, in the cold. So what happens? He's like, oh man, well, I don't know if this is right for my country. They get out to the Oval Office. Everything's going fine. They're taking questions for about 20 minutes. These things are standard. They're going to go have lunch after this. It's all going to be great. They're going to sign this mineral deal. Blase, blase, boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, the last question, and President Trump said this. He said, I'll take one last question. This is the part where President Zelenskyy messed up at. This is the part where I will say that he messed up. If you've seen other times when, and this is not just President Trump, but any time a president of the United States hosts other world leaders in the White House, in the Oval Office, usually those world leaders are very deferential, very respectful. Yes, no, not going to say anything. We saw when the Jordanian president came a few weeks ago, and Trump said, we're going to turn Israel into, or the Gaza Strip into, the Riviera. And he was just like, okay, all right. But he handled it later. He said something later because that you don't want to make a fuss. And the problem with Zelenskyy here is he made too much of a fuss in public. He tried to fight President Donald Trump, and that's just not someone that you want to try to fight with in public because he's used to these things. Again, he had a show where he fired people live, like on TV. This is what he does. This is him. He is a wrestling heel. This is what he does. And for Zelenskyy to come out and challenge him in his own home was not wise at all. It was the last question. All he had to do was keep his mouth shut. It was the last question. All he had to do was keep his mouth shut, go to the back, sign the deal, get it figured out. But shout out to him for being a man. At least he's a man about his shit. That's true. You're going to say at least he's an alpha about his shit because he was like, well, at least I'm going to try to defend my country here in public. Was it smart? No. Was it admirable? Yes. To try to save his country? Yes. But the fact is he tried to put President Donald Trump on the spot. J.D. Vance, like a bulldog, Vice President J.D. Vance, got all up in his ass. All up in his ass. Now, I think a little of this was obviously offenses, as we talked about earlier. I believe that a lot of this was already pre-planned between Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. I believe they talked about it before where they were probably like, all right, look, this guy may try to pull something at some point. And if he does, this is what we're going to do. Boom, 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 boom. And that's what you should do. You should be prepared for all scenarios. But if it is what they planned, then, they also they also figured out what they were going to say in advance as well, and how they were going to, double team the Ukrainian president. Again, in terms of if you're trying to save your country with the minerals deal, and you feel like the best way to do it is to get through the conversation, just keep your mouth shut. Even the Ukrainian, the ambassador lady that was there, all she could do was just put her head in her hands. She was like, I can't believe this just happened. We did all this work for nothing. Now, Donald Trump is still left. If Zelenskyy comes back peacefully, wanting to get peace for his country, right now, that's really just out of the question for at least the next month or so until they try to figure this out. Trump is obviously going to go back to Putin and try to work more stuff on their side. But the fact that this happened was just crazy. Just watching this video, and I was watching it live because I was doing work for my client on the couch, and I had it on live. I was like, oh, this is going down. He's a slobber knocker. This whole episode is like a slobber knocker. Shout out to JR. Damn, we talked about John Cena in Iraq. We talked about Donald Trump versus Volodymyr Zelenskyy. People just battling, just brawling. Brawls, banter, and bravado out this piece. But it's just a shameless plug. But anyways, or total evisceration. Shout out Hot Take Jake. So I feel in this instance, if he wanted to actually get the deal done, he needed to keep his mouth shut. But he spoke up because he felt it was the only time he was going to have a chance to speak up against what he thought were the lack of security protections, what he felt was a lack of security guarantee for him, which means that then they would be giving up the minerals and possibly have, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, maybe conspire to take over Ukraine completely, which is not completely out of the question. Don't get that out of your mind whatsoever. But it was a huge blow up. Can't believe it happened. We're going to see what happens if this deal actually plays out. My producer says, I don't think Ukraine should give 50% of the mineral. I don't agree. He needs to apologize. He was not fighting. I think the U.S. was bullying him. Okay, well, I will agree with you in one thing, and I did say this a couple weeks ago. I agree. I think 50% is ridiculous. I think 50% actually destroys the Ukraine economy and their future because they need that sort of minerals in order to help them to rebuild their country. So I do agree. I think it should be like 25%. I think we're trying to take a little too much, but I do think that they need to give something up because we spent way too much money to support them in a war that we had nothing to do with. So I do agree that, yeah, it shouldn't be 50%. It should probably be 25%, but they still owe us something. They still owe us something. And some people may say that, Vance and Trump were bullying him. And yes, if they premeditated that, then yeah, it could be considered bullying. But at the same time, they're trying to protect the interest of the United States, just like Volodymyr Zelenskyy was trying to protect the interest of the Ukraine. So they're both trying to defend their country. So in that aspect, they're all right. They're all correct because they're doing what's best for their people. But in terms of actually getting something done in the end, Ukraine definitely is not a winner here. The U.S. really doesn't have anything to lose. It's not like we don't have money, although we just talked about fraud, waste, and abuse earlier. They should stop spending so much money on this stuff, and maybe we wouldn't have to do so much cutting with Doge, but that's another point for another day. But I do agree that 50% is way too much. So we'll see what happens there. We will see what happens there. British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer announced over the weekend that his government has actually came up with a plan for this war to end. So he has come up with the Parliament in the United Kingdom has come up with the plan that they are going to present to President Donald Trump about the ways that they can have a ceasefire for this Russian-Ukraine war to end the war. So we'll see what that actually is when it comes out. But do know that one of the things that Zelenskyy wanted was a guarantee that they'd be able to get into NATO. Both President Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have said that NATO is out of the cards for Ukraine. I understand why Ukraine wants a NATO deal. Obviously, they want the security of the United States and their allies around the world to be able to protect themselves from Russia. But I also see where President Donald Trump and the U.S. would be coming from and saying, well, we don't want any more people in NATO because that's just more money that we have to pay out to protect countries that are not ours. So when it comes to protecting, again, the United States interests, I can see and I can understand exactly where they're coming from. Again, do I think that means that we should just leave them out there to get genocided? And I know that's not a word, but for lack of just using genocide as a non-plural, which wouldn't have been right in that context either. And I don't think there is a past tense for genocided. I guess there is not. Anyways, just not to leave them there to get murdered. We can't just let Russia run roughshod over them. I mean, especially since we already spent all this money, they got to at least protect them, right? So, either way you look at that, you might have a different feeling about that. But one way that I feel about, I do agree with one thing that President Donald Trump has said about the NATO thing. European countries need to start giving more. They got to start giving more. I looked at the actual percentage earlier from U.S. To Russia or to Europe, and they tried to put the chart as it was the same, and I laughed. They said, okay, proportion of spending, and it had United States, 300 and something billion, and then it had Europe, 300 and a little more billion, like 20 more billion more. I was like, whoa, nah, you ain't gonna get me. I'm a professor. I teach students at universities. You're not. Yeah, I was born in the morning, but I wasn't born this morning. You ain't gonna get me with that. I already know what that means. I already know that means that you are trying to correlate the United States as its own country to Europe as its own country. No. Europe has many nations. Europe has, I don't even know how many nations they have. I think it's like 15 or 20 nations they have over there. I should know the exact number to that, and I don't. That's bad. But they have a lot more nations than us. So that's not a correct comparison. I just want to point out. But I did think, I chuckled. I was like, that's not even cool. Don't even do that. Like, you're talking about one country versus many. Anyways, so we will see what happens there. But that was a crazy Friday. Crazy. All right. Moving on to our last pieces of world news before we get you out of here for the day. Again, I appreciate all y'all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS on YouTube. And as well, you can use that QR code to subscribe. Please make sure you hit that like button for us. I really appreciate it. It is free. It doesn't cost you anything to hit that like button, a heart, a laugh, a wow. Just give me something. Helps us out in the algorithm. All right, let's on to the Israel, Hamas, Gaza Strip ceasefire. The update here, as we've been telling you about this all along, Israel and Hamas have ended the first phase of the ceasefire, and that ended with the exchange of 4 Israeli hostages for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. So the issue here was that a couple of the Israelis that were returned deceased. And obviously that is a very big issue when exchanging hostages, as the country that is looking to get their hostages back want them alive. So, I mean, you had to expect that there was going to be some kind of pushback if you're sending dead hostages back. They did. Israel didn't like it. Now Israel is starting to push back before they go into the second phase, and they're saying that they now need to release more people because they had to have these funerals for these people that came out and were released dead. So we'll see what happens here. Obviously, I told you this could break down at any moment. We know how long this conflict has been going on, hundreds of years. Hopefully it does not break down. But right now, this is a little roadblock that we're having that could turn out to be a really big issue. So we'll see what happens there. As always, I will keep you updated here. But I do want to say humanitarian agencies have estimated that roughly 60% of the structures in Gaza are destroyed, including 92% of residences and 50% of hospitals. Because of those funerals, Israel has blocked humanitarian aid from entering Gaza and calls Hamas to accept the U.S. brokered extension of the ceasefire after the first phase ended. So again, huge roadblock here, y'all. We're going to see what happens. Israel's not happy with the amount and conditions of the hostages being returned, including some of them being deceased. And as well, You look at the other side of things. No, I do not agree. Donald Trump said he wanted to turn the Gaza Strip into the Riviera of the Middle East. You cannot do that. We've talked about international law on this program. You cannot take someone else's country from them. No matter what you think, we cannot do that. No, it's their country. If they want to live there, they are allowed to live there, and no one can take them out of there. It's literally the definition of ethnic cleansing. And it's not even legal by international law. So it's not going to happen. But that being said, I do agree on one thing. How do you rebuild that? How do you rebuild that? They don't have the money to rebuild that. 92% of residences? 50% of hospitals? 60% of the whole entire country? Look, if they want to stay there, it's their right, and it's their country, and no one can tell them any different or force them out. But why would you want to? I get it's your homeland, but if there's no home to go back to, is it home anymore? Thoughts from the professor. Chew on that one. Moving on, a couple last notes. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, at least 60 people have died and 1,000 have been infected from an unknown illness. Now, they have said they tested for Ebola and Marburg viruses and ruled them out. So, oh no, do not tell me that we're having another infection strain coming out of anywhere in the world, wherever it comes from, but another one that could possibly resemble Ebola out of the African region with bleeding, vomiting, diarrhea, all these things. Not good. So what happened? The outbreak began in January in the village of Boloko, where 3 small children died within 2 days of, not the best thing to say out of my mouth, eating a dead bat. This is how poor people are, y'all. Before you react and judge, because I know some of y'all, when I just said that, I know in your minds you thought, oh, these disgusting human beings, how could they eat a dead bat? Of course they got sick. They deserve it. How about you think of it the other way? How about you think of it that they're so poor and they don't have the money and resources that that we have, that they can't even have a bowl of rice to eat and they have to eat a dead bat? Why don't you think of it that way? Have some damn compassion. Moving on. So anyways, a second outbreak began 2 weeks later in Bomote, a village more than 100 away, killing 45, infecting more than 400. So there's no link between the two villages. The World Health Organization is testing patients for a variety of causes, from food poisoning to typhoid. This country of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, has seen dozens killed by similar unknown illnesses, including severe malaria, just back in December, and is dealing with a wave of Mpox cases, which have killed 1,200 people since early 2024. Now, some of you as well may be thinking, well, that's their fault. They have to deal with that. But again, this is the point where things like us taking ourselves out of funding the WHO or U.S. aid, with Doge cutting U.S. aid, the problem is that, again, when you take a chainsaw and not precision clippers, you cut some things that are really needed. And some of those things are disease programs for third world countries. Why? Because the diseases could travel here, you dummies. Why the hell do you think we spend the money on it? Think. We spend the money in these other third world, second world countries to help them so we don't get their problems. Man, y'all got to start thinking. Y'all some dummies, man. Y'all got to start thinking. Use your brain. Stuff I see online is ridiculous. Start thinking. The less we give, the less we help, the more problems we're going to have in the long run. Because anything that starts anywhere in the world, as you saw with COVID, gets spread to the whole damn world. Look at bird flu now. Paying $12 damn for a dozen of eggs. Get the hell out of here. 2 more stories on the books before we get you out of here. Researchers have found evidence of humans. Listen to this, y'all. This is crazy. So, scientists and researchers found evidence of human beings living in tropical rainforests as early as 150,000 years ago. 80,000 years earlier than we ever thought before. Man, that's crazy how research and science and paleontology and all of these other industries and studies can so help us to learn about the world. I think it's so fascinating. Humans were alive 150,000 years ago, living in tropical rainforests. It's crazy. Anyways, what else? Engineers have also integrated network fiber-based computer into garments. So now, y'all, like, this is going to be especially good for athletes. They'll be able to wear clothes with the computer built into the fiber of the clothes. So when they work out, it's not going to hinder them. It's not going to be heavy. It's going to be like wearing normal workout clothes, but it'll be able to gauge their activity, monitor health conditions, and all kinds of other crazy stuff. So this world technology is crazy. AI is getting crazy. We are just, as I said, I guess I'm contradicting myself now because I did say earlier how much dumber of a world we're becoming, which is true. But at least in terms of AI and science and research and stuff like that, we are getting, at least more advanced. Camel intense until rebuild. Yeah, but that's the problem. How long does that take? That could take decades. That could take 100 years for all we know. That's not going to be easy to do. Just to clean it up would take at least probably 5-10 years just to clean up the rubble. And then another 10-15 years to build. You're looking at a minimum 20 years just to get anything even up. Come on now. A lot of those people are going to be dead that even live there. They got to probably got to find somewhere else to live. I hate it for them. Sucks that they have to leave their homeland. But I'm not paying for that to be built when I can just go somewhere nearby. No. What? No, I ain't got money for that. But I know what you putting your money on, and that's your boy, Omar, the Professor Fonseca. Yes, I appreciate y'all tuning in every week, every Monday for the Professor's Semanalmente, which again just means weekly, you marks. It just means weekly. Come see me every Monday, usually 6:30 Central Standard Time. I go on whenever Stephen A is off. So if you watch Stephen A. Smith on YouTube, he does his live show on Mondays. I try to go off and catch his crowd right after. So I appreciate all y'all tuning in again every Monday. We are here live with our news, world news, United States news, entertainment, sports, headlines, updates, and I really appreciate y'all supporting and tuning in. Please hit that like button, whether you're watching live or on the record. I appreciate it. It helps us out in the algorithm. Leave a comment for us. Let me know what you thought about any of the subjects today. What do you think about the John Cena heel turn? What do you think about President Donald Trump versus President Volodymyr Zelenskyy? What do you think about the Oscar? Did Honora deserve to win? What do you think about Amazon or Jeff Bezos' phallic-shaped dick rocket, Blue Origin? Tell me what you think about any of that in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed at Ball and Buddy, ALLAND BUDS. I appreciate you. Go out there, be kind to each other, take care of yourself, love each other, and have an amazing, blessed week. I am Omar, the Professor Fonseca. This has been the Professor Semanalmente. Don't forget, tomorrow I'll be live at Country Box from Troubadour Theater in Nashville. Hermes Orta, the Warrior Kid, will be fighting for Jimmy Adams' promotion, the Country Box, as well Wednesday night. Make sure you tap in at The Bottom Line Sports. Join our Facebook group. We go live Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and finally Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Clubber D, the Combat G's Combat Sports Special for UFC 313. Yes, our UFC MMA Boxing Insider will be giving us all the takes on all the fights coming up and all the fights from this past weekend, especially the controversial Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach Jr. fight. So you know we're definitely going to hit on that as well Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. But if you're subscribed to Ball and Buds, you don't have to worry about anything I just said. So why don't you just make it easy on yourself? Go subscribe. And then you ain't got to remember the schedule. You know I love you, baby. It's the Professor. We here. But now, we out. Holla. 5,000.
He's with the millions.
It's that that world heavyweight flow. Championship belt wrapped around my waist, yo. I got that Ric Flair figure flow. Slam you on the pavement, that's why they call me Street Pro. Create heat on beat flow. Like Jordan after the second time he three-peated, folks. Get ready, set, let's go. Fight toe to toe, release the flow created by this mic pro. Lights, camera, get low. Action packed, back to back, in fact this monster will grow. Y'all better let him know. Man with the master plan and you have no need to know. You came prepared, now get ready for the show.
Sports Professor.